Hello, and welcome to the Middlesex Chamber Today. My name is John GUERIN, and it is a pleasure to be with you once again as we talk about the Middlesex County Chamber of Commerce, its many activities, committees, functions, all of the things that they try to do down there and do well, I must say. But what we're going to be talking about during this program is a committee called the Young Professionals Alliance. The acronym YIPA has been used from time to time, and we're very pleased to have two members of the committee who are with us to talk about and first of all is Lauren Middleton. Welcome, Lauren.
Oh, thank you for having me.
It's nice to have you here. And Quanisha Turner.
Thanks for having me today.
Oh, it's again, to have both of you here, it's a real pleasure for me as well. And usually what I like to do, especially for new guests and for people who might not know who you are, to give them an idea of who you are by having you do a little self-introduction. So why don't I reverse it, and Quanisha, why don't I start with you? What do you do in real life?
Real life. Thank you. I am an estimator with ServPro of Middletown, New Britain. Mm-hmm. We're located on Industrial Park Road in Middletown. Okay. And we specialize in water damage restoration and fire cleanup. Okay.
And as an estimator, you're probably on the road then a lot?
Not so much,
okay.
But I am in constant contact with insurance companies.
I see. Okay, so you're kind of that bridge between the client and the insurance company?
Exactly.
Okay, very good. Excellent. And Lauren, how about yourself?
I actually have a small digital marketing consulting agency on Main Street in Middletown. It's called Forest City Marketing. I'm a bit of a jack of all trades, so I build websites for small businesses. I do email marketing for them. Search engine optimization, social media management, event management, lead generation, anything you can really think of that has to do with marketing. And I'm also very active in the chamber on the board of directors, YIPA, Women's Business Alliance, and committees, and it goes on and on and on. So,
wonderful.
Yes.
Very good. And again, probably to the two of you, probably the most basic question, how did you get involved with Young Professional Alliance? I'll go to you first.
I think we met the first time when I was at a different company. It was a Young Professionals event at Indian Springs Golf Course. Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I was actually a part of it with a different company. And, they had just sent an email out to join the Young Professionals, and it was a golf event, and I'm terrible at golf, so I said, I'll go anyways. And it turned out to be really fun, and I met some great people.
Terrific. Yes. Very good. Quanisha, how about you?
I got involved through the annual auction that they have, and met Dan Jascott, who let me know about the Young Professionals, and I was extremely interested.
Right.
And jumped right on board.
Very good. Now, Young Professionals, that's been going on for a fair amount of time now. So your involvement about how long?
Feels like it's been about 3 years.
About 3, and I think we were talking before the program, you said about 5 for you, or?
I think it's been about 3 to 5, because I think we kind of jumped on at the same time.
Oh, they were both about the same time.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Okay. And how is the committee doing these days? How, is the participation what you want it to be? Let's start there. How are things going with the committee itself?
I think it's pretty good. We're working on kind of combining ourselves with a few of the other Young Professionals Association with the United Way, and I think there's one out of Hartford called Hype. Yeah. Yep. And we're looking to get into some new exciting events that have different things to do. I know we were talking about ziplining possibly, and sometimes it's better just to go out and do something physical as opposed to just networking at a bar. So we're working on different things like that.
Very good. Very good.
Kind of team building.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we're focusing on.
Sure. Yeah. I wonder how zip lining came in as a possible idea. For those who don't know, Dan Jascott, who I know quite well, is owner of Empower, which is a wonderful, has a wonderful facility right here at the south end of Middletown. And zip lining, in fact, is the reason why Dan isn't participating in this particular
He's very
recording this afternoon. So he chairs that the YIPA committee at this point. And how many people are actively involved in the committee itself? As members of YIPA, how often are meetings going on, and how big a group do you usually see on a regular basis for planning all the wonderful things you do?
Yeah, I would say anywhere between 5 to 10. And, just getting together and putting together our ideas on how we can grow the young professionals.
Right. And in terms of coming up with ideas, for something to do, I mean, it's got to be a challenge, especially hanging around the bar is always a good thing to do.
Yes.
But coming up with something that's a little bit different, whether it's zip lining or whether an auction or other things, how do you come up with some of those ideas?
That's a good question.
I think, well, the chamber very much advocates getting member input on, I've sent emails to Jeff Pugliese over at the chamber who, helps out with the young professionals as well. And I think he just accepts ideas from the members as to what is a good thing to do next month. And they're usually pretty good about going with them. So I know I've gotten some surveys and we've done some open houses and a couple other things.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure. Because I was going to say, in terms of the types of activities that the Young Professional Alliance gets involved in, and we're probably better off talking about what's gone on in the past, because this program will be on several weeks ahead of when we're actually doing this taping. But what kinds of things have you found to be enjoyable as far as events go, Quanisha?
Well, definitely meeting new people, meeting young professionals that you can kind of feed off of their ideas and how to become better at networking. And I think that it's great when you're in an industry and you can connect with people and also help them at the same time.
Right, right. And it's a little bit, in terms of the kind of events that you get involved in, it's on a more intimate basis, a smaller group basis than, let's say, the chamber breakfast, which can have 300 to 700 people, involved.
So it becomes more personable at that point. Yeah.
Yeah. But again, it gives you still that opportunity, and probably even more so, to talk about what you do, yourselves, and then what other people are doing, and as you said, the whole networking experience with something like that. Any events or activities that seem to lend themselves better to that sort of thing? Maybe, again, talking about some of the things that you've done in the past? I
think the best experience I had was actually the event that I had met you at, which was it was team building with, we were, I don't want to say competition, but, it was fun to kind of compete with some of the other members in this committee to, just play in a putting game or something at the golf course. And, I think it's always good to have some kind of physical interaction that not essentially forces it, but there was an activity we did at some point where it was I don't know if it was the young professionals, but we went to do some archery, and we shot the arrows at questions, and then we had to ask each other questions. So anything like that, which is different and fun than your usual networking, I personally enjoy.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things that we do a lot of with the young professionals, is a lot of our events are geared towards what's enjoyable to a young professional versus, like you said, hanging out at the bar. So a couple of years ago, Serve Pro sponsored a New Britain Bees game. In one of the suites.
Yep.
And who doesn't love baseball? So just the number of people that came, and some new faces, some old faces, and just getting everybody in one room to connect was a great experience.
Sure. No, again, something that's a little bit closer, because I know even the chamber runs some fantastic networking opportunities, like the breakfast that we talked about, like the business after work, is also very good. But a lot of these smaller type events where you can really get to know the people who are there. How do you go about reaching out from the committee to others to let them know about events and to get them to participate and come in? How does that sort of play into what you do as a committee?
Emails, word of mouth.
I've had a lot of success with LinkedIn, actually, just posting it on my personal page, because being active in the social media field, I have, quite a few connections, and a lot of them are considered young professionals. So, I'll post the event poster on there, and it gets a lot of responses.
And
Right.
even through Facebook, you'll see sometimes the events that are going on with the young professionals in the events tab on your Facebook
Yep.
Sure,
page.
sure. So, again, multifaceted.
Yeah.
What is a young professional, Quanisha? We're going to ask a tough technical question.
It is a tough question because a part of it is how young do you feel? That's the start. But I would say someone who is a professional, who's innovative, who has new ideas, who's approaching networking from a fresh perspective. That to me is a young professional.
Very good, very good. Good answer, good answer. More trivia?
Oh, for me? Or-
Yes.
Okay, go ahead. Same question, or you asked?
Same question.
Again, with the young at heart is a very, very important thing, but I find that when I go to these events with the young professionals, it's really nice to see young, up-and-coming entrepreneurs like myself. Not that I have anything against older entrepreneurs, but there's newer technology out there, there's new ideas, and I often find it easier to bounce my ideas off these young professionals, and it's what they are. They're excited, they want to try new things, and they want to share the ideas, which is what we want.
That's good, that's good. So would you say that's the typical interaction that you might have during the course of the networking portion of the events, obviously other than shooting arrows and having a good time?
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
That's good, that's good, that's good. Well, again, young professionals, as I say, we've interviewed over the years a number of chairs who have participated in the young professionals, and I think they have had that same feeling. If somebody is really interested in sharing a new idea, there's somebody you'd like to meet, somebody that you would like to work with, talk to, get some ideas from, and bounce some ideas of your own, off of them. So I think that becomes a large part of what goes on. What kind of representation of professions and do you have within, let's say, a typical event of somebody who comes to an event?
I would like to say it varies. There's so many from, Lauren's an entrepreneur. You'd have people in the insurance industry. It varies.
No, that's good. That's good.
I've seen a lot of financial advisors.
Financial
Edward Jones,
advisors,
yeah,
for sure.
And whatnot.
And I think that's just in general throughout the state with most young professional groups. Financial advisors.
Yeah.
Very popular.
Any in the legal profession or banking or any of
Yeah,
those you
see
get
that
in
as well.
support?
Yeah, my husband is an attorney, and he's a part of the young professionals as well. And I know there's, I think, a few managers in our group from Liberty Bank and Bank of America.
TD Bank.
Yeah.
Excellent, excellent. So it sounds like the committee is continuing to do well. That's important.
And
All right.
not to mention with us all coming together and utilizing the venues that we go to, that's growing the business community. I just recalled us going to the Terrace Theater.
Oh, that was
Chester.
wonderful. Yeah,
And
that
it
was a
opens
great
up
event.
opportunities for us to even know, one, that there is a theater locally that does these wonderful shows, and then to get involved with going on your personal time or bringing groups together at different occasions.
Sure.
So.
And we don't mind letting people know about various locations. We're not. This is not a bold plug for anyone, but we don't mind giving them a bold plug. What other types of venues and things have you, again, I've kind of led to that a little bit earlier, but what kind of things have you gone to, and maybe a little bit about the experiences that you've done at any of the venues like that? Lauren, anything that comes to mind, a particular interest?
We actually, my husband and I attended an event actually at Mystic Aquarium to kind of represent our Young Professionals Association. It was set up through the Eastern Connecticut Chamber, and that was really interesting because, you know, we're sort of used to smaller events, but there was literally 100 people there, and it was amazing because, you know, we would stand up and talk about our businesses and whatnot, and there was a beluga whale behind us, you know, trying to, and that was definitely a really positive experience, and it got us a chance to, you know, explain our chamber and how we do things there. So that was, I think, my favorite one I've been to.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. And how about you, Quanisha? Any others besides the theater, or?
There's so many, I can't recall.
Oh, just pick one from the hat. That's okay. We're not.
Yeah, I would have to say going for a game night. There's a place on Main Street in Middletown. And then from there, we headed over to Eli Cannon's and did the Russian roulette jalapeno poppers.
Okay.
That was pretty funny to see the guy who got the wrong one.
Oh no.
That was the most memorable experience.
Okay.
Yeah.
That that would be memorable, I would think, in a moment
Yes,
like
yes.
that. You know, and in terms of looking ahead, I mean, how far ahead do you try to plan events?
I think it's, what was it, 1 to 3 months in advance usually?
Like a couple months
Yeah.
in advance. Yeah.
You know, so you're already probably starting to look beyond the holidays then, I would think. You know, as we're doing this, I just let our viewers know we're in the middle of October, you know, so, you know, they may see this much later, you know, than that, but, you know, when you're looking ahead, I'm guessing that's where a lot of the things. So Jeff Puglisi is the staff member at the Chamber?
Yes.
Who
yes.
is your primary contact at the Chamber?
I believe so. Is it him, or I know he's usually at the events, or is it him and Mike, or?
I think it's Jeff.
Okay.
Okay, well, that's true, and,
Yeah.
and again, we're putting both of you on the spot since Dan isn't here,
Yes.
so.
That's all right.
So, in the absence of the chairman, we can make up anything. It's, he'll live with it, it'll
Yes,
be
yes.
fine, it'll be fine. But, no, I think that we do like to mention on the program and to our viewers that everything that the Chamber does is really structured through a very small core working staff at the Chamber and tons of volunteers. That's really what I think makes the Middlesex County Chamber so unique, is that the volunteers drive so much of what goes on, but you've got that core of people
Yes,
like
yes.
Jeff and Mike Fallon and Kathy Duncan and, you know, the folks who really put their heart and soul into all of the
Oh, yeah, yeah.
activities, you know, that are going on down there. And we've been putting a little bit, we usually will have a little blurb on the screen with the Chamber website and phone number and those things. I've got a way of contacting them. But at the Chamber website, one of the things we can tell you is that on their calendar of events, they'll have a list of things that are going on currently. So take a look at it, and you'll find out what young professionals are doing. You'll find out what legislative committee is doing, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. All of the things that are happening at the Chamber, and there are so many. If you're a Chamber member, you probably get the weekly newsletter from Larry, and that keeps you pretty much up to date on things that are going on too. But all this aside, let's get back to the committee itself. Are there any things that we haven't really touched on yet that you think are important for our audience to know about young professionals that might be of interest, especially in maybe getting somebody who's watching for the first time and hasn't really heard of young professionals and, you know, gee, that sounds like it could be an interesting group. What should they do? Quanisha?
Well, they can definitely contact Jeff through the Chamber, but we'll likely have something that goes out through a social media platform, and just stay tuned to that and try to make it out to the next event.
Right. Just show up.
Just show up.
Yeah, you just show up.
We don't run people away.
That's good. That's good. So again, through the Chamber itself, when they do put out the information, you're saying you really, and from a marketing point of view, you do try to make sure that you've got many different ways that people can be contacted.
Oh, yes,
You
yes.
know, You know?
You know, Mike always puts out, you know, the events on Facebook. So, you know, if you go to the Middlesex County Chamber Facebook page, you can always RSVP that way. And also their contact information is on there as well. So if you don't feel like RSVPing on Facebook, you can always just call the chamber and they can set you up.
Sure.
You know, and I think they have a LinkedIn page as well. And there's usually some kind of post on there about what's going on.
Right.
Yeah.
And we stress, this is not a highly selective,
Yes, yes.
exclusionary group.
It's
Not
very
at all.
open.
Not at all. It's very much an open group, and people are welcomed in to participate.
Oh, absolutely. We love hearing ideas and we love meeting new people. So that's what we're all about pretty much.
No, that's good. That's good.
So
And
I do think we make an exception if you're above the age of 99.
oh,
You're not likely
Okay.
qualified
Yes.
to be part of a group.
well, I could still make it then.
Yes.
No, I think it's. I remember when I used to be a group of the young. But anyway, in retirement, it's a whole different outlook on things. But it's. I've got to say, the attraction that the chamber in general has had, with its many committees and many activities, has been such a draw, such a welcoming draw to people throughout the,
Oh, yeah.
you know, throughout the area. I think that's one of the things that has been a mainstay of the Middlesex County Chamber and all of its committees. So it was really nice when the Young Professionals Alliance was formed, and how it has continued to exist and grow and thrive, you know, through the chamber. I think that's been, you know, that's really been a marvelous thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, that's terrific. What suggestions, here's one, and we'll throw a twist in at this point. What suggestions would you make, just in general? We're sitting here at a committee meeting. What things would you suggest that we might do to improve the Young Professional Alliance? I'm really going to put you on the
Okay.
spot. Throw it to Lauren, okay.
Throw it to Lauren.
I think the way I can think of is I usually have a lot of success with referrals. So maybe we can throw an incentive, you know, if this person comes to an event and, you know, truly enjoys himself, maybe they can get a ticket to the Terrace Theater or something, or maybe, you know, one of these places that we have these events at, they get, you know, some sort of coupon or something. It's just an incentive to come, but we want to make sure they're coming back. So how do we work on getting them to come back after attending these events? I mean, that's something I definitely want to work on, because, you know, I've seen some people, they show up and then, you know, we never see them again, and I think coming back and engaging in it is very important.
Sure, sure. Oh, well, yeah, because again, I imagine there are a number of people who would have that tendency, you know, maybe to come and it was enjoyable.
Yeah,
you know.
we want to hear their ideas, and we want to make sure they had a
Sure.
good time, and we want to see if we did do something wrong, what can we improve on next time.
Oh, it's good. That's good. Yeah, and I think that sort of openness has been true at the chamber.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
You know, just in general. So that it's good suggestion. Any thoughts pop to mind, Quanisha?
I second what Lauren
I-
just said. It's the perfect answer. Yeah, any new ideas on how we can get people to come back? It would definitely be helpful.
Very good. So we can encourage our viewers then to contact Jeff with new ideas and tell him that you want to come to a Young Professional Alliance event, and again the calendar at the chamber would probably be the best place to
Yes,
start.
yes. Yep.
You know, from there, and then I'm sure they can get themselves onto a list for emails and other things that if you have a particular interest on.
Yeah, or if not, like I said, just, you know, try the RSVPing on Facebook or something, so that Mike is pretty good about updating that, I think, weekly at least, with the events and everything.
That's
So,
good.
yeah.
That's good. Because now you've mentioned Facebook, you've mentioned LinkedIn. Any other particular social media platforms that you use on a regular basis? You know, that for contact, or you know, that you'd recommend as a marketing specialist?
I use Instagram a lot, as well as the chamber, you know, and it really depends on what hashtags you use, but, you know, usually if I'm at an event, I'll try to think of a specific hashtag for that event, and I'll put it out there with the photo. And hopefully, if somebody sees that photo and they say, "Oh, I want to go to that," they'll look for that specific hashtag. So, Instagram, and I think they use Twitter as well, because Twitter is, the way that young people read the news these days. So it's really important to be on there as well.
Sure. 100 and how many characters? Well, anyway.
70, I don't know.
It's very limited. But hey, if it works for the president. No, it's, there's no question the world has changed tremendously in terms of how that sort of social media interaction goes on. Do you find it, now, in your role working as an estimator at ServPro, do you have a lot, working with insurance companies and, working with a wide variety of clients, I'm sure.
Yes.
Does social media help you in your job these days?
Yes.
Interesting.
In its own way, you're putting what you do out in front of people.
Okay.
And it allows them to know that, one, you're local, two, advertises your services. So, yeah, I could see the benefits from that. In particular, because people search the web for everything that they need anyways.
Right.
That's the time that we're living in. So.
Yeah, it is true. And most of the searches do tend to run that way these days. And I imagine you must have contact through ServPro with a lot of related businesses that help, in what needs to be done to make a client whole again.
Yes.
So, is social media something that's encouraged by the company?
Of course. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. In fact, that's another role that I have. If I had my business card here, it would say estimator/social media manager.
Aha.
Forgot to mention that.
Well, I'm glad you did. I'm glad you did. No, that, because again, there's just so much to what goes on at this point when you're out there. Believe it or not, we're down to about the last 2 minutes of the program in terms of sharing thoughts and ideas. And what I usually like to do at the end is to give you a chance maybe to wrap up some thoughts based on what we've talked about, or if there's something you think we've missed, or something that the audience should really know about Young Professional Alliance and what you do as a committee. This would be your time to spend a moment or so with that. So, Quanisha, why don't I turn to you first, and for any closing thoughts or ideas that you might have this afternoon.
Yeah, closing thoughts to the audience. If you're interested in the Young Professionals Alliance, visit the Middlesex Chamber's Facebook page and see what's going on and get involved. We would love to have you come out and be a part of us.
Wonderful. Very good. Excellent. And any thoughts from you, Lauren?
Pretty much what Quanisha said. Come out. We love to hear new ideas. We love to meet new people. And you never know what connections you might make at these things. There might be an event where you meet nothing, and then there might be an event where you meet $1 million client. You never know, and it doesn't matter. Just we want you to have fun, and we want to be the best committee out there. So.
Very good. Excellent. All right. Well, I would like to thank both of you for taking the time to be here today for the program.
Thanks again for having us.
Again, to our viewers, Young Professional Alliance is just one of the many activities that the Middlesex County Chamber gets involved in. But Quanisha, Lauren, thank you both for having been with us, and we do encourage you, our viewers, to go to the Middlesex Chamber site, take a look at the Young Professional Alliance, look for some of the events that they're sponsoring, and if it's appropriate for you or something you seem excited about, show up. You're welcome. And for the Middlesex County Chamber in general, this is John GUERIN saying thank you for having been with us, and tune in again for more on Middlesex Chamber Today. Thank you.